Fun. You guys ready for this? All right. Hi guys, welcome to our live Q&A webinar today for the DreamSF Fellowship. We're going to be addressing some of the frequently asked questions that you guys have. Please leave your comments, your questions in the comments box, and we'll address them live. And we want to share a little bit about what our experience has been through this fellowship, and hopefully interest you in applying. Application, its deadline is April 8th, and we really want to encourage everyone that's eligible to really take advantage of this great opportunity. Let's start by introducing ourselves.
Hi guys, my name is Victoria, and I'm currently placed at Catholic Charities.
Hi everyone, my name is Kenzie, and I'm currently placed with Chinese for Affirmative Action.
Hey, I'm Luis, and I am placed here at the Office of Civic Engagement and Immigrant Affairs.
And I'm Maria, and I'm a fellow at One Justice.
And I'm Gerardo, and I'm placed at Pangea Legal Services.
Do you guys want to talk about has anyone ever participated in a fellowship before?
I have never. Especially as an undocumented immigrant, it's so hard to find any sort of opportunity, even a job opportunity or scholarships or anything like that. So when I found this fellowship for the first time and saw that there wasn't a lot of requirements on it based on your citizenship or your status, I immediately applied for it. This is the only fellowship that I've ever found that was eligible for immigrants.
Yeah, I also think most fellowships are very like specific, like through like the major or like a specific job that you want, where this one's a lot more versatile, and it was easier to apply because I didn't have to have like a specific thing that I was like, I want, like this is what I want to do. We had the option of kind of getting to see what experience we wanted to obtain or get from the fellowship at the end, which was something I had never seen before. And most like from school and stuff, you get, the fellowships you get are always like, you have to have a certain grade point average, and yeah, like citizenship status, and it's just kind of like things that made you be like, I don't think I want to apply, or I am just not eligible for, and this was, it was like great all around.
I think adding on to that, I think the great part about this fellowship is it acknowledges like immigrants are diverse people, and so I think the fellowship really does a good job of reflecting that. Like you mentioned, the intersectionality of immigration, so we have people from, like, I think we could just here talk about our different majors. Like, I'm political science, Maria's.
I'm also political science.
I'm a business marketing major.
Communication, media production.
International studies.
We had all around engineering major, like STEM majors, like different majors, and we all were placed at a site that I think really highlighted the fact that we can develop our professional skills in different areas.
While working with the immigrant community.
While working with the immigrant community.
So I actually, I was doing my first semester of college. I didn't even know what a fellowship was until I came here. So this is my first fellowship ever, and I'm really glad I had the opportunity and chance, and I took it.
How did you guys find out about the fellowship? I got it in an email from the Dream Resource Center at SFSU. We both go to SF State.
Yeah.
So I was like, I jumped at the opportunity. I was like, this sounds like a great idea, something that very, I'm eligible and I love what it's about, so I jumped on the opportunity.
Yeah, I got mine two different ways. The first way was through this newsletter email for this undocumented blog newsletter. I forgot what it was called, but I got it through that email. And I also got another email from one of my peers at school who actually ended up becoming a fellow that year. His name is Alejandro. He was leading like our small little undocumented community at school, and he sent out an email to me about that fellowship. So it's pretty cool.
I actually met some fellows from SF State also. We went on a trip for it was like a California Dreamer Network foundation from LA. We all went on a trip over there for the weekend. And that's where I met them. It was my first time actually like venturing out in college. And then they were telling us about, there was like 3 or 4 of them that were like, they were fellows and how great this fellowship is and all the opportunities they have. And they're like, you have to apply, it's such a great opportunity. They mentioned not only the work opportunity that you get to learn about, but also the friendship they built. Because they said they became like a small little family, and they kind of rely on each other. So I thought that was interesting because I do commute to school, so a lot of the time I didn't have those connections, those like friendships or people I could rely on, and I was like, oh, that would be a good way to do something that, you know, it's a learning process, but I'm also like making friends.
I actually got mine from a text. My roommate at that time texted me, hey, there's this opportunity, I think you should do it. And so I think I got it on winter break, the text, but I didn't look at it until like 2 weeks later. And then my school, part of my program, they have sections where they have fellowships, internships, and it was also placed on there, so that's where I also looked at it.
My roommate found the flyer at SF State, like at the bus stop on the floor. He found it, but he found the flyer and he let me know, and I applied too. He was cool. Yeah.
Connection.
Yeah.
How was your guys' interview process? None of us were in the same interview when we came in after we got our acceptance letters. I don't think any of us had the same group.
We were.
Oh, we
were
were
together.
That's right.
The very first day.
That's right. We were at the very first day.
No, I didn't have any of you in our interview group.
Really?
But for the most part, I don't think anybody had, like another partnered up. What was your experience like? Could you tell our audience a little bit about that? Because they might be curious to know.
Well, to me, I think any interview is always a little intimidating. And it was the first really professional interview process too. So even if whatever you get out of it, you also get an experience of a professional interview. That's another thing to know. Be on time. Yes. Be on time to the interview, for sure. Come dressed professionally. And don't be nervous. Just be your true self. And yeah.
I thought it was like a unique experience because I had never had a interview like that, because it's like a two-part process where you first do a group interview, which that was last year, and then we have a question, and it was intimidating at first because there's like people watching you as we interact with each other in the group, which I've never done, and I had an idea of it from like knowing what I was gonna be asked and stuff, but it was just at first it was awkward, but then I think it does you get to highlight what you're good at. And then the second part, it was like a normal, typical interview that I already had, so I felt more comfortable. But I appreciated getting that, because now if I go to another place and they have me in a group, I will know kind of like what to do.
It looks like we have a question.
Yeah, we have a question from Melissa, and it's, what do you love most about this fellowship? Who would like to answer?
I think I can start first. You guys, I think just making this connection. Personally for me, I never came out saying, oh, I'm documented. So being a part of this group and just being in a safe space for me was really eye-opening and something that I'm always going to treasure. So I think that's what I really love most. I mean, I also did get, and I am getting more work experience, professional experience from my host site. So that's something I really value, but I think just finally being able to be in a safe space, I really love that.
Yeah, for me there's so many different things, but I think my favorite, or the thing that I love most from this fellowship is the mentorship that I gained. And that's not just through like my cohort and our wonderful coordinator, Myra. She has been a wonderful mentor to me, but also in my host organization, there's been so many inspiring women that I met within my host organization that has really invested their time in me and my growth and all the knowledge that I gained from this fellowship. So that's one thing that I really appreciate. It's not just something that I'm going to keep in this fellowship, but I'm sure that once I'm done with this, I'm still going to keep in touch with them.
Same thing with me. I think the thing I treasure most, apart from all of you guys, and there's so many things, but shout out to my organization, Banjia Legal Services, because I treasure the fact that I can go every day and see the amazing work they do and how they help people in the most dire situations. It's a legal org that deals in defense of immigration, so people who have pending cases with different branches of the immigration system, and just seeing them take on the hardest cases and fighting for our community and being able to be part of that is really inspiring and has really taught me what I want to do with my life. And I think that's a big part of this. A lot of us came to the fellowship not knowing what we wanted to do, And to get that mentorship, to get that support, and seeing your community helping the community is something that's really, really, like, I was privileged to be part of that.
I like mostly the exposure you get to a lot of other orgs. Because we all work at different organizations, we learn about it and then we could all get information from each other and kind of build yourself. There's also a lot of networking opportunities. Luis gave us Networking 101, which was, it was great because we are getting to go to special events. At least at One Justice, I also get to go to a lot of events where I was always in the back. I still kind of am, but I try now more to talk to these people that are very important in the community, that are making changes, that are pretty much funding also our organizations, and getting to meet them and interact with them, and that could lead to a job opportunity or just having an ally there. So it was great to do that, the networking.
Thank you. I think one of the things that that I've gotten out of this fellowship has been a sense of belonging in a world where it feels like everyone's against you politically, and it can feel really lonely and really frustrating. I've gotten a sense of community and a sense of belonging where I'm empowered and I know my worth, and that's been something so beautiful that I've been able to take with me that I probably wouldn't have, at least to this capacity, without this fellowship. So I'm very, very grateful for the space and for all of you guys, and for DreamSF, absolutely. Do we have another question coming in? Not quite yet. Don't be shy. Feel free to leave your questions in the comments. We are live streaming this, so please go ahead and let us know.
And share.
And share.
This live stream.
Yeah. Maybe we could go over the host, how that works after the interview process, if you get selected, like how the host placement works.
Yeah.
It is.
Does anybody want to talk a little bit about that?
It's a complicated
It's a little complicated. So first things first, you go on site visits. So you actually get to visit every single organization that is offering to host a fellow.
Yeah.
From those visits, you take notes, you build a relationship with the organization, and after you're done visiting all the organizations, you're emailed to arrange interviews, phone interviews, right?
Yeah.
Does anybody want to talk about that process, the phone interview process?
Yeah, so it starts with like, you choose which organizations, right, that you're interested in. Yeah, your top three organizations, and then
you get.
And I'm not sure what happened from their end, but they probably picked some fellows from us visiting them and kind of getting to know us.
Yeah.
And then we had a phone interview, a more formal phone interview.
Yeah.
So it's like a matchmaking process that the organization picks their top three, and then the fellow picks their top three based on the rankings. We're set up with phone interviews, and then from there it's kind of up to them, up to us, what kind of impression we made.
It's Myra's choice, the
and
coordinator.
And then the voice of reason, Myra, our coordinator, she will kind of decide for us what the best fit will be.
And
so
also I want to point out that sometimes a couple of fellows will want the same organization.
Uh-oh.
And so that's where Myra's job gets a little bit tricky, trying to put us in a place that, where our talents and our what we're interested in. So it really depends.
And it might be that maybe it wasn't your top choice, but it was a place you wanted to be at. It may not have been your top choice or where you want to be at, but where you did, like you mentioned, grow. I think we should note that Myra did a really good job, because overall, I think we were very happy with our choice, even if it wasn't our first choice. I think we're all pretty.
Yeah.
Shout out to Myra.
Yeah.
Shout out to Myra.
So remember, even if it's not your first choice, always keep an open mind.
Be open-minded.
Because all of the organizations that apply for this fellowship or that are host sites, they're all amazing in their own way.
They do amazing work. Definitely for the
And that's why you should not miss any of those opportunities where we go and visit the sites, because you get to know the people working there, you get to see what the office space looks like, you get to see where you're gonna be sitting. Like I have a cubicle, I don't know if you guys have one, and so I got to see that, and I thought that was cool because I've never worked in an office setting. And then each organization had a different way of like welcoming us and wanting to learn about us. So that kind of you could see what you fit, kind of like when you go looking for a college where you fit best. That's what you want to do. Like, do I feel comfortable here? Are the people around me like people I want to be surrounded by, and are they gonna help me grow? Just like I'm gonna help them with the job I'm gonna be doing or the work I'm gonna be doing through the fellowship. So
you also get to see more of the city. And
Yeah.
I remember when we were doing ours, we actually had time in between host sites. We actually sat down by the Yerba Buena Museum.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, we did some bonding there. It was
We were in the pond, had some
The
lunch.
waterfall.
It was a sunny day.
Yeah.
It was free day at the museum.
Oh, it
Yeah,
was
it
free
was
day
free
at
day.
the what museum was that?
The Yerba Buena.
Yerba Buena Center for the Arts.
And it was like
Yeah.
an immigration.
And it was immigration border themed.
Border.
Yeah.
It was destiny.
It was
But yeah, keep an open mind, because even you might go to the first day of site visits and you might be, that's the site I want to be at, but then you can go to the very last day of the site visit and you're like, wait, that's where I want to be at too. So it's really important to go to these site visits and really keep an open mind, because you might think you know what you want, but then you might not.
It looks like we have another incoming question.
Yes. How many fellows were there in the 2017 cohort?
There were 18.
18.
There were
18,
18 of us.
Right?
But
Yeah.
but there is a maximum of available slots of 20.
20 this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
We get more fellows.
So there's some good odds there, right?
And then new organizations too, because we have a bunch of them
A
apply.
bunch of new organizations.
Another question that came up is, can fellows be hired after your placement, after your fellowship? And fellows are encouraged to network with their host agency. If you are qualified for an open position at an agency, you can apply and maneuver through their hiring process, but it's not a guarantee.
Yeah, and we had some fellows, or at least one that I remember, like a couple weeks after we started, she got hired right away. And then at the end of the fellowship, I know other fellows that either went to another organization, like it was like a pathway to get hired, and then others that like stayed at their site and got a full-time job. So
So it is
that's
possible.
Pretty cool, yeah.
Not only that, like once you're a fellow, our coordinator is really good about sharing work opportunities or positions available too. Like there is a network there for you too. Like you just should apply.
Yeah. Yeah.
Switching gears a little bit here, one of the key components of being part of the DreamSF Fellowship is attending our enrichment seminars that happen every Friday from 9:30 to 12:30. We all participated in them. They are mandatory, so that is a requirement for applying, so you should know that. Let's talk a little bit about what those were like, what the experiences we had were like during those enrichment seminars.
Yeah. So these seminars are like, they all apply to us as immigrants, but they're all different topics. Like there were seminars about our
Finances,
Yeah. There was some about the language access and translating, interpretations. There were also some like, what's it called? Like the enrichment ones.
Like there
Yeah,
was a
for
mental
mental
health.
Yeah.
and
yeah.
docu-healing
Yeah, and
was one of my favorites. And then we also led our own workshops or seminars. So I did a networking seminar, as Maria was talking about. So you can also take leadership and create your own seminar.
Yeah.
Adding on to that, there are some seminars that are repeated, but I think an important component of the seminars is every cohort has the opportunity to sort of shape them and meet the needs of what they need, because every cohort will be a little different. And I know one that kept being brought up was the mental health and the docu-healing. So it was something we asked for. So whatever the cohort's needs might be, the coordinator is really good about really reaching out to what you need to develop yourself, and that's the purpose of the.
Right. I remember like meeting, like when we first started, we all like met up and we talked about it. Yeah, I remember that. I don't know if you guys remember it. How Myra asked us, would you guys like to
yeah.
see for the seminars?
Yeah, so we were able to give input on the type of information that we wanted to gain from these enrichment seminars.
Yeah, and so we got to learn from different, like, so I was interested in law school, in life after the fellowship. So we had like law student guests, undocumented law students that came to talk. And then we had like the financial literacy class that talked about credit scores and then learning about maintaining a healthy financial life, which is very interesting that I never thought of, but it was interesting for someone else. But then obviously I learned a lot from, so that was cool too.
Or like if you're not documented, like how do you build credit? So it was like different financial products that are catered specifically to that audience. So they were very, very, very helpful.
Well, we had working while undocumented, like
so working. We had Immigrants Rising in. Liliana, I believe was her name, and she was amazing. She had so many resources and such great information.
You learn about independent contracting, LCC. So that was one of my favorite things about these enrichment seminars, especially as an undocumented person. Like before this, I had no idea that these opportunities were even available for me. I didn't have a credit card. Like I didn't have all these other things. Like I didn't know like I could have these things. And now that I have these resources available to me through these enrichment seminars, it's something that I'm definitely going to share with my other networks, other immigrant communities. So,
It looks like we have another question coming in.
A question from Jamie. Can you tell us more about the hours you work for the fellowship? Do you create your own schedule?
So yeah, so with the Friday seminars, 20 hours are required of the fellow, 16 of which have to be with the site. So the schedule can be negotiated, but again, it depends on your host site as well, their needs and your schedule too. So it's a little bit of a negotiation, but at the end of the day, you do have to meet those 16 hours.
Right. So personally, what I did was I made my classes only Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I left Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday, Wednesday for my host site, and Friday for the seminar. So I did some planning ahead, definitely, to make sure, because I remembered the seminar was mandatory, so I planned ahead. I would recommend you guys do it too.
Definitely.
I also want to note that if you have to miss a day, or you have to make up your hours, it really depends on your host site as well. So for example, for me, like there was one day maybe that I was on vacation and I wanted to make up hours, so you have to allocate like some of that time and really work out your schedule to make sure that you're doing your required hours.
And also, there was a couple of us, I think 3 of us here at least, that are commuters. So we come from like far away from the East Bay. So you also have to keep that in mind when scheduling your classes and then scheduling your hours at work. So you probably wouldn't want to split up into a bunch, like 2-hour days or something. Like you don't want to do that. Like I was doing 2 full days, 8 and 8 hours, doing my 16 hours. Makes it a lot easier. And then when you do have to make up more hours, then kind of facilitate that around. And then we have like citizenship workshops that we participate in for OSEA. So that kind of gives you hours to work on the weekend, and that gives you a little bit of time for you to have off your fellowship. So
for the most part, I think it's very flexible.
Very flexible,
yeah, so you can set your own hours as long as you are communicating with your host site manager or your supervisor, then you're good. I think communication is very important.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about the. So I heard there's a stipend. Some people might be interested in knowing. Yes, this is a paid fellowship. So for the experience that you're gaining and the mentorship that you're receiving, you're actually getting, you're earning a stipend for that, which is paid out once a month, and it's for your educational expenses, and you can use it for school and for tuition and for things like that. So yes, there is a stipend. And
I just want to clarify the word stipend because it was confusing for me too. So Just to clarify that this isn't technically employment, so a stipend is almost like a scholarship that's given to us. We don't have like that form for employment.
W-2.
Yeah, we don't have that. Yeah, we don't. Okay, but yeah, just wanted to clarify that.
And are you ready to apply? So we do have
I think a question, right?
we do have we have a question.
What was some of the experiences that you gained from your current fellowship or your host sites?
Great question.
What are some hard skills that you could place on your resume?
Well, I'll go ahead and start. So for me, my interests were very much in media, communication, social media. I actually got to design and create a website from scratch. So sfimmigrants.org is my baby.
Yeah.
So I got to create that. I got to pull the content together and bring the program coordinator and our OCA supervisors to come together and really create what you see on sfimmigrants.org, which is the website to get more information for this fellowship and learn about the Deferred Action Initiative in San Francisco. And so that's a pretty solid skill that I can add to my resume. I've also been part of the outreach and digital communications team, so taking a lot of pictures. So photography has also been a great part of my resume, taking pictures at off-site events and at community events and things like that. So those are some of the skills that I was able to gain. Anybody else?
A skill that most people I feel like don't think about, I think we all learned, is like professional emails. Like email etiquette is something I feel like a lot of people don't think about, especially, well, maybe for me, because like I said, this is my first like fellowship, and that was a really good skill I learned for the future, like replying professionally, how to write, stuff like that. Some other skills I learned, translation, interpretation services, court filing, and just team communication.
So at One Justice, not to be biased, but I love One Justice. Like I felt like for me at least it was the best site because I got a little bit of everything. One Justice, we do clinics. So I'm part of the clinics team, and we go to rural areas of California and bring not only immigration services, legal services overall to different communities. And specifically, obviously, I was working with the immigrant community, and there, so I got to do a lot of outreach, which I had never worked on, and it's something I learned, and I feel like I could go to another job now and be like an outreach coordinator, just really learn how to target specific audiences or specific groups that we need to reach. Learning how to talk on the phone. I was very nervous. I talked to Myra a lot about this because it would give me anxiety talking on the phone and having to ask questions for prepare for the clinic. And I learned not only email etiquette, but talking on the phone, your voice projection, leaving voicemails, something that like getting to the point fast, but making sure that they get all the information they need. That was something I struggled, but now I feel like I could do it. I could train probably someone to do it because I feel comfortable with it, and I could go to another job now and put this in my resume. I'm comfortable with this. This is something I know how to do.
So for my experience in my host site, Chinese for Affirmative Action, there were 3 different areas that I was able to work on. The first one was policy impact. So that had to do with like city policies such as Prop N, that's the new non-citizen voting for school board elections that's coming up later this year. And there's also the language access ordinance, which is having language access, translations, and interpretations for Chinese, Spanish, and Filipino. So that was something that I learned so much about and gained from just being able to go to these meetings at City Hall and giving my own input into these policies and working on all this research and stuff like that. So that was one thing. And then the second thing was communication. So I also helped my organization in posting things on our Twitter and our Facebook. So posting information on that. I also got to design infographics and stuff like that, things that I could put on my own portfolio as a media production major. And then the third thing was outreach. So this is like Know Your Rights workshops, immigrant workshops, and I got to like lay out my own presentations and put in information that was important for whatever audience I was going to speak to. So that was probably my favorite thing, is being able to go out into the community and teaching them things that were really important to them.
For Catholic Charities, I also gained email and phone etiquette, translations. I think one of the things that will probably stick with me was doing the U-Visa workshops, which were on Fridays, and also client intakes, which were on Mondays. I learned how to interact with clients, how to take them in, and also for the U-Visa workshops, which were on Friday, public speaking. I'm scared of it. I mean, I've gotten better at it, so it was really nerve-wracking, especially because it's not in English, it's actually in Spanish. So I actually got to better my Spanish. I got to also take in the clients and speak to them privately. That was something I gained.
And I think that was at the top of the list of all of us of what skill we wanted to get out of this, I think, was public speaking.
Yeah.
And I think we've all had an opportunity to speak to the public.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think any of us could walk into a room full of strangers and be totally comfortable giving a spiel.
No.
Maybe that's just me.
But we
Those
get the confidence from her.
Yeah. It looks like we have another question.
Yes, a question from Craig. Can you talk about what's next? What are your plans after the fellowship?
Ooh.
Well,
I just graduated from San Francisco State. I have this fellowship till the end of May, and after that, I might go home for a few months. I think I told y'all, but there's possibly an opportunity there to work while I'm studying for law school, hopefully.
And I think I feel a lot more comfortable with aspects of immigration, and then deciding what I want to do. I did want to go to law school, but I think I had the chance to learn a lot about social work also. So I'm working on applying to different places that give me that experience, just so I could really decide, like, is law school for me, or do I need to do social work, or more, I don't know, maybe different major. I don't know. I came here for that reason, and now I've been exposed to so much more that I'm like, oh, I want to do everything. I want to help everyone. Yes, so
It's not a bad problem to have.
No.
you have options. For me, I'm taking my knowledge that I've gained here and the skills I've learned and everything that I've soaked up in school the last few years, and I'm starting my business. So in particular, the seminars about LLCs and working as an independent contractor, those were so important, because now I know exactly what steps I need to do to take in order to start my business, which is social media consulting agency, working with small businesses to ramp up their social media marketing. And so I feel like that's a need I've discovered working in a lot of the organizations that we work in. I've had a lot of experience doing a lot of that work for our agency here, and I'm just excited to take that to the next level.
So for me, I'm also graduating after this. Yay! Getting my bachelor. So after this, I probably I gained a lot of networking experiences here. I was able to build relationships with other professionals in my field. So specifically for me, my career path is journalism, and so I've met a couple of journalists that I will probably reach out to after this for any internship opportunities. And I also want to kind of look into independent contracting, like you mentioned from that presentation that we had last year. So I'll probably try to become a freelance journalist through independent contracting.
So for me, it's just keep going to school. I'm gonna be a junior next year or next semester. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I haven't decided yet if I might take a break and just focus on school, or if I might take up another internship or fellowship. I'm still flowing through my waters. Yeah.
You got plenty of time.
I do.
Whatever
Yeah.
comes your way.
It looks like we have another question.
Any final thoughts?
Well,
Reflection.
On the fellowship?
Yeah. I think so. I'm gonna go back to kind of like something I gained, and it's just there's so much need in our community, but there's also so much people willing to give. So that's also something I want to work on once we finish this. Giving back to the community, participating, educating them, and then there's so much against us right now, but I want to learn how to organize more still, and I guess my final thought would be just like continue us like talking, the connections that we each have. Each of us is going in a different pathway, but when our community needs us, kind of putting it all together for them, because that's really what I think that's the main experience that we get here. How can we help those that are not in our position?
I guess one last thing I want to say is just like my appreciation for everyone here, because coming in, it's like 18 strangers who you don't know, but then you get to know them and you realize what amazing, y'all are so amazing. Y'all have so much talent and skills, and like I can go on and on. But, like they said, like social media, journalism, like social work, engineering, like math, like the dream
team, the dream
Oh,
squad.
the dream squad.
Yeah.
And I know y'all who are applying, y'all are going to be an amazing cohort too, with so many skills and talents. Don't be scared of like sharing them and like talking about what you're good at.
Yes.
I think that's what my final thoughts are is for the next cohort, the next group of DreamSF Fellows is, make the most of it. Really take this opportunity that you have at your disposal and take total control. It's yours. It's your experience. Shape it however you want it to be, because it's in your hands and you are the future.
For me, my final thought is to just have an open mind throughout this fellowship, because this is a social justice fellowship, and you're going to learn so much more than what you already know about, immigration rights and all of these other aspects. You're going to learn my perspective in immigration completely flipped. It was so small-minded before, and now I'm so glad to be exposed to all these different issues that are going on in the immigrant community. There's so many different, it's very intersectional. There's like these worker rights, and there's language access, and all these other different things that we need to realize and really bring out from this fellowship into our own communities.
So I think kind of going off what Louise and Kenzie said, just get ready for the journey. It's a really good journey. I remember first when I walked into this building, there was a wind tunnel. I was like, whoa.
There is wind outside.
So just get ready. There's so many opportunities out there, and I think this is a great one for you guys to take. I'm always gonna take you guys with me in a way,
Yeah, 100%.
All of us had something different to offer. And I'm just really glad I took this opportunity, so don't be scared.
Yes. Do not be intimidated. Because I had no idea.
And don't apply the very last day, 1 minute before it's closing.
It's due April 8th. So not this Sunday, but it's a week from Sunday. So you have 2 weekends to get it done. But hopefully you get it done today.
Get it done.
Is it 11:59?
11:59 p.m. April 8th.
Yeah.
So get it turned in. Don't wait.
It will change your life in a positive way. You'll gain so much from it. I think there's a lot more that you could gain, and I think we probably will continue, because if we follow up with each other after, like I said, the fellows that I knew from before, I talk to them and they're doing great things. So we kind of get to interact with so many people, and if we ever need something, I think we all kind of could get our own little networks together and get it done.
Yeah, you are creating a network. You're essentially building on your network, and the possibilities of that are endless.
It's really you get to shape it. How you I remember this from the beginning, the toolbox. Myra talks a lot about our toolbox and adding things to our toolbox, right?
Yeah.
So it was you get this toolbox, you have the tools, so work with them. It's the experience you make it kind of the best. Whether you decide, if you decide to not apply, then you kind of are missing out on this great toolbox.
So if there are no more questions, we're gonna wrap up, I think. But do not hesitate on sending us a private message or even commenting on this after the live feed is over. We'll be here to address your questions going forward, and hopefully you apply. Deadline is April 8th. sfimmigrants.org. Go apply now. Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.